Hi everyone. Today I'll be discussing the book How to Know a Person: The Art of Seeing Others and Being Deeply Seen, written by David Brooks. This book was originally published in 2023. Here's an overview of what I'll be talking about today. I'll start with an overview, my takeaways, and then connections to class. This book's premise is pretty simple, but like most of David Brooks' work, it is actually simultaneously powerful. At the center of every healthy person, family, school, community organization, or society is the ability to see someone else deeply and make them feel seen. Brooks says that if we want to be effective as leaders, friends, or collaborators, which I think everybody in Well does, we must learn to be generous with others through our attention, and doing so helps others feel seen beyond the exterior. And through many personal anecdotes scattered throughout the book, Brooks encourages the reader to do just that. I read this book in the airport over my spring break flight as my flight was delayed. I tested the opportunity for connection with my neighbor at the gate who sat his hat down next to me in the chair to reserve it. The man and his wife were visiting Birmingham to see their daughter after she just moved down south. They said that I reminded them of her, and I told them I was traveling home from college in DC. Just for a moment, this commonality made all of us seem connected by time and place, and our worries about our travels became lighter. Brooks is Jewish and a longtime conservative, which typically informs his writing. But in this book, he never directly engages spirituality. But he does offer some Bible supported practical tips for getting to know one another. First, he defines people as either diminishers or illuminators. Diminishers are self centered, quick to connect the dots about who someone is, and stop getting to know them after the first interaction. On the contrary, illuminators see people in their fullness, with the rich complexity that makes us all human. Next, Brooks writes that good conversationalists are ones that know how to ask good questions. Those good questions invite storytelling from the people in the conversation, and they also invite personal reflection, shifting the dynamic away from being transactional and towards being transformative. Brooks also describes a crisis of loneliness in the United States and throughout the world, where we are increasingly further away from one another. To combat the ensuing isolation, Brooks says that we need to make vulnerability commonplace. This means taking the risk of rejection by creating a foundation of mutual support. Now, connection to Well's content. Brooks talks throughout the book about making vulnerability more palatable and acceptable in society. His support actually inspired me to start a Medium blog. While I can't know that everyone will understand or accept the things that I write about, nor can any author, inviting them in is the first step towards meaningful connection. I actually made my first post about a ride-along experience with the Metropolitan Police Department, where I rode along with female officers who exemplified female leadership in the community. Brooks writes about this too. He says that by making readers acutely aware of others' perception of them, he makes it clear how you show up can matter just as much as what you achieve on paper. As women already are more likely to be scrutinized, building our professional bench with a team of strong female leaders and mentors can keep us supported at work. The value of female perspectives is also something that Brooks addresses. He even makes the case that female perspectives can be highly valuable in high conflict workplaces. He advocates for women's perceptive generosity, which he says comes naturally to them and less naturally to men, which assumes situational complexity instead of assuming simplicity. And this means walking into any room better prepared. He also talks about narrative as a kind of leadership tool. On the topic of illuminators, Brooks says that these leaders see themselves as part of a larger mission so that their work is connected to its service. This develops intrinsic motivation to get to know one another and build powerful networks like we're doing in this class. Finally, he talks about emotional attunement, saying that good feedback is always emotionally aware, sensing when someone needs challenge versus when they need support. Overall, Brooks makes the case for getting to know one another better on purpose. It gives us a sense of place within our communities, which in turn gives them strength. Talk to a stranger tomorrow.